I know the title of this video is quite provocative, but it is something that I see people having trouble with, especially online, really often. And I think it's something that you're more likely to have problems with if you're teaching yourself, and also if you already have an education and you're used to studying and learning new things. At the same time, this is actually something you can really easily avoid. So if you take a step back and look at what you're really trying to achieve, what you're really trying to learn, then it's a lot easier to find a more efficient way of studying jazz. My name is Larsen. Learn jazz, make music. This is extremely common for people who are trying to teach themselves jazz, and I think you'll find that it's also true for other styles of music. The funny thing is that if you look at it on the surface, this actually looks like a rational approach that will get you there, but you're missing some really key ingredients in learning a style of music. And I'm also pretty sure that if you were to take lessons, then no decent teacher will teach you like this. If you decide that you want to study jazz and you want to learn how to play that kind of music, then it's only logical that you're gonna look into what you need to learn. What skills do you need to get? What do you need to study to learn how to play jazz? And if you do that online, then it's quite likely that what you're gonna end up with is that you need to learn your scales or even learn your modes. You need to learn arpeggios, and you need to learn how to improvise over 2-5-1 progressions and turnarounds in all keys. And you do need to practice all of those things, but they're not all there is to it. If you're working on learning scales and learning arpeggios and practicing how to improvise over 2-5-1s and turnarounds, then you're doing exercises. That's not music. You need to actually play jazz music if you want to learn how to play jazz music. It's the same as trying to become a better swimmer by doing push-ups next to the pool. If you look at it that way, then it doesn't even sound that strange. If you want to be good at playing jazz, then you also have to practice playing jazz music, playing jazz pieces. It's never gonna happen that if you just practice a lot of exercises and turnarounds and 2-5-1s, then all of a sudden magically you can play great solos on pieces that you never studied. First, I'm going to cover some of the things that you're gonna miss if you're not studying pieces and only staying with the exercises. And then I'm going to talk about how you work on learning songs, especially in the beginning, because there are a few things that can make it a lot easier, and that if you just accept that that's where you begin, then you're actually gonna learn a lot faster. If you're improvising a jazz solo, then usually it's going to be a jazz solo on a song, on a form that's longer. It's not just a few chords, and you need to be able to play the changes, of course, but you also need to be able to play a solo that's a piece of music. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you need to be able to make sense on top of the form. And you're not practicing that if you're only working on small loops of 3 or 4 chords. There's a lot more going on in jazz harmony than just 2-5-1s and turnarounds. If you watched any of the 10 or so videos that I've done on analyzing standards and understanding jazz harmony, or if you've ever tried to play a jazz standard, then you've also seen that there is really a lot of options. And luckily we have a lot of beautiful things happening with the chord progressions beyond what you can sum up with just practicing a 2-5-1 or a 1-6-2-5 in all 12 keys. Just to give you an example, if you look at the jazz standard It Could Happen to You and then look at the analysis of it, you can also see that there are actually not that many 2-5s or 2-5-1s in this piece. So there is a lot of jazz harmony that you're gonna miss out on if you're not studying these songs. And actually, to really appreciate and understand how this harmony works, you also need to hear it in a song. It's not enough to just isolate it and work on it. You need to hear where it sits in the form, how it works with the melody, and how it really works as a part of the music. And there are a few less obvious things that I think you also only will learn if you actually play music, which would be stuff like using blues vocabulary in a jazz setting, or really using reharmonization so that you're not only improvising on top of the chords, but you're also learning how to improvise with the harmony. So how do you get this right? How do you study jazz in an efficient way where you're actually going to learn how to play the music? I've covered a lot of this already in the different videos that I've done on practice routines, both the 10-minute and the 30-minute practice routines. Really what you want to do is that you want to make sure that you always spend a lot of time playing music. If you want to be good at playing jazz, then practice playing jazz. And I think it's a lot more efficient if you learn to play one song and play a few logical phrases and play a solo that makes a little bit of sense in one position, in one key, compared to learning how to play 2-5-1s in all keys. because you're not going to be spending really a lot of time improvising over all the things you are in D major. Being able to play jazz is about being able to improvise over a piece of music and then also improvise a solo that sounds like a piece of music. And you're not really gonna get there if all you know how to do is to play the right notes. So in that way, there are a lot of things missing if you're only focusing on scales, arpeggios, and a few basic progressions. And that's why you want to play music. You want to spend a lot of your practice time actually playing music. That's where you're gonna learn how to play jazz, not all the technical details. If you get lost in learning arpeggios in all positions or scales and all the different patterns you can play scales in, then maybe you're wasting your time if you're not also spending time learning songs and playing those songs. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments, because I think this is something that's very often left out, especially in online education. And it's a pity, because it's an important part of learning to play music. You're not gonna get there if you're only trying to learn all inversions and all arpeggio positions and stuff like that. You need to play the music. And if you want to improve the way that you practice and check out some thoughts on how I think you should practice and what you should focus on, then check out this playlist where I have a few videos that are going over practice routines and important things to check out and important things to learn.